No pressure at all. Can someone just laugh like now so I feel better? Ah! That was almost genuine, thank you. Okay, so I guess I'm supposed to have like a tight opening. Believe me, I do. My vagina. Okay, so set the tone. The rest of it's going to be very vagina heavy. Strap in. So, I like to say at the beginning of all my sets to the audience that I've had cancer. Ah, yay! Now, it's true, by the way. I don't just make it up for attention. Like, I've got a USP. So, I say that at the beginning of every set, whether the rest of the set is about cancer or not, for 2 reasons. Okay, so number 1, if it goes well, which you never know if it's going to or not, people will walk away and say, she was so brave, because anybody who's had cancer is brave, that's just how it works, and funny. We almost lost her, wow. And if it goes badly, no one's going to walk out of here and say to each other, I don't know about you, but I didn't really like the girl with cancer. You can't say that. You would feel rotten to your core if you said that. So, pat on the back from Karen, Susan, Hobbs. That's me. So, but obviously you guys are paid to be here. You're part of this amazing group. So I'm going to do some cancer stuff. Obviously, I can't get through everything because it's quite a long story, but I'm going to give you some highlights, some of the juicy bits, and, I'll just try my best to cram what I can in because I don't have much time left on stage. Woo! Chill out, everyone. Checkups are going really well. Yay. So, what happened was I was bleeding from my vagina, I like to say it twice in 1 minute, a little bit in between periods and a lot after sex. And my boyfriend at the time, who I'll refer to as like Gerard Butler, just like whatever, it's my story, he said, oh baby, is it because my dick's too big? Yeah, exactly. It's exactly. There's always someone that goes, that's not a thing. I know. It's not. Sorry, it's not. But I said, sure, maybe, to make him feel better. And I went on to Google. And the top results were either an STI or cervical cancer. So I booked that doctor's appointment and found it very strange that I was keeping my fingers crossed for chlamydia. Please. You do funny things. But in all seriousness, I was relieved that it was cancer because I'd wanted to write a blog for ages. So it just worked out really well for me. Thank you. quarterlifecancer.com. That's fun, isn't it? Because I was 24, 10 and 25. So, bit of science. Okay, hands up anybody who's ever had any type of sexual contact. I love how it's like involuntary. Some people are like, yes! One guy the other week went, oh, and I was like, what does 2 hands mean? Anyway, okay, great. So there's a really common virus called HPV, the human papillomavirus. It's passed on through sexual contact, so that's, some licking, sucking, nibbling, touching, whatever you want to do, not just penetrative. And it's really, really common, and most people who have had their hands up, i.e. had sexual contact, will get it at some point in their life, but our immune system is designed to get rid of it on its own. Now, sometimes when it can't get rid of it and a certain strand is in your system, over a long time, it can develop into cervical cancer. And there's a little bit of an assumption that if you've had cervical cancer, then you're a whore. But I really, really want to reassure people because I know the last name of all but one guy that's been in here, okay? So I just want to bust the myth straight away. And I only don't know his last name because he gave me a fake name, okay? So it wasn't even like I was having a good time. He was just a liar. Anyway, so after you get diagnosed with cancer, you have to have an MRI scan most of the time, depending on what type of cancer you've got, to find out how much cancer is in there. So it's really, really fun. So I don't know if anybody's had an MRI scan before. I guess, yeah, exactly. There's going to be some of us. How fucking loud are those things? So loud. So I was given earphones to kind of drown out the sound a bit, and I had the pelvic brace on because it was going to look at my pelvis, because if it had gone anywhere, it would go to, the rest of my womb or ovary, bladder, bowel, etc. So I was going in, and it's really loud even when you just go in there before it even starts scanning anything. And after a couple of minutes, I just heard this voice. Are you all right in there, Karen? I was like, is God a Welsh woman? Because how amazing, after all these thousands of years of bullshit, would it be if it's just this woman called Sinead and she's like, all right? But I realised it was the lady operating the booth. And she said, do you want some music? Oh, Lovely, it's working out quite well. Classical or pop? The NHS, and we're having a choice, okay? So I said pop, and guess what song came on when I was in an MRI machine waiting to find out how much cancer I had? Yes, it was Daniel Powter's Bad Day. Where is the mom when you need it? And you're just lying there thinking, what's going on? So it was really, really fun. People say to me things like, how do your mum and dad react when they found out you had cancer? Because I talk about my parents a lot. I'm very close. People that know me know that we've got a very close relationship. So they immediately wanted to know how my parents have reacted. So I'll tell you, obviously, that's why I'm here. And I've got the small mic. So I phoned up my dad first because I knew he would take it the worst. And I said, hi Dad, I think I might have cancer, because I wanted to ease him in. And he, classic dad response, said, have you seen the new Morgan Freeman film on Netflix, Karen? And I hadn't, but that was his answer to finding out I had cancer, talking about Netflix, which is, no offence to guys, but kind of a typical male response, just like ignoring the situation. And then I phoned my mum 20 minutes later because I knew she'd be somewhere in the house, and she was actually upstairs doing the ironing, earning her keep. And no, it's fine, they're happily married. And I said, hi Mum, I think I might have cancer. And she's the funny one, she's the Susan of Karen Susan. She said, we waited 19 years to have you. Spent all of our savings on IVF, and now this. She's a hoot. She's a really great girl. We're very close. So it turns out I had a late stage 1, which was, it's really great. And it's very odd talking about cancer and saying you were lucky or it was fantastic. But it meant that I just had surgery. And when I was recovering from surgery, I was very disorientated. I didn't recognise any of the people in the recovery room. And then I saw my surgeon come to the end of my bed. And I held out my hand for him, and because I was a bit delirious, and he held on to me, and then I immediately retracted and went, oh my God, no, you're my doctor, it's too weird, we can't hold hands. And he said, Karen, I've spent 5 hours in your vagina, like, this is fine. It was the tip of the iceberg. So also people say, has cancer changed you? Yes, and then obviously people want to know how, like, how has cancer changed you? That's a big question. So here are a couple of examples. I am a lot less fun since I've had cancer. I'm so much less fun. I'll tell you a story from before cancer. It's from a brief chapter in my life that really demonstrates what a good time girl I was. It's from 2009 and it's called Accidental Prostitute. So, we'll see. What happened was, it was 2009, I was on the Thai island of Koh Phangan, and I was sunburnt and hopeful. Hopeful for what? For dick. Yay! And my travelling companion Jess was asleep at full moon party, obviously using her sequin clutch bag as a pillow. It was 8 o'clock and I was trying to get her back to the room, and a very handsome Norwegian soldier came over. He wasn't wearing a uniform, he just told me he was a soldier. So he might not have been a soldier. We don't know. And he saw that I needed help, so he took us back to the room. He helped me carry Jess, and then I left a sick bucket out for her, and then left the door ajar because I'm a great friend, and it was a one-room situation, and I didn't want her to wake up to any funny business. And he was obviously into me at this point. So we had sex over the balcony outside the room, like just like this, actually. To be honest, it's like you're there with me. And imagine if all of you were there. Hey guys, if that's what you're into, hashtag no judgment, by the way. And after a few minutes, he came and I came, and again, and he offered me some money, which was a bit confusing because I wanted to prostitute at this point yet, and I thought, Karen, you're not a prostitute, because I really wasn't at this point. And then the voice on the other shoulder said, but you're going to Australia after this. It's a lot more expensive than Thailand. Would you like a DVD of that skydive? Yes. So obviously I took the money because I am no fool. Thank you very much. Oh, also, before I carry on, people will say, it's the classic question, because everybody wants to know, what was your going rate? How much did he pay you? 2,000. Thai baht, okay. If I always want to be like, I got paid £2,000, but it was actually £38.90. I went on currency converter and it made me feel less good about myself. But there are some fun sides, there are some benefits to having cancer. So I'm completely covered now, I'll just tell you a couple of them. I'm completely covered in social situations when someone says, oh hi, tell me something interesting about yourself. So if I was in the years BC, before cancer, I'd say, oh, I'm a vegetarian, or oh, I could afford to go to Australia. We all know how. But now, in the years AD, so if BC is before cancer, AD is... The energy in this room, guys, chill the fuck out after diagnosis. I can say I've been fingered by more medical staff than sexual partners. Exactly, and my mum's proud of that. I told her that, and she said, I'm glad it's that way round, sweetheart. So honestly, once you've had cancer, you can do anything and your parents will remain proud of you because you stayed alive. Honestly, it's a win-win situation. Oh, and the last benefit that I'll end on before I talk about kind of the sort of way to be funny, if that's a thing, is that I never have to give birth. Yay! It's fine, because I can't. Fine line between tragedy and comedy, guys. We're okay with it. And people say, Karen, how does that make you feel that you will never experience the magic of natural childbirth? Exactly. She just said, it's horrible. Yes, exactly. Go on, what happened? You had a cesarean.
My sister said it's like passing a melon without a laxative if you don't.
You should be here, not me. Do you want to collab? Sounds like birthing comedy. So, guys, look, it never has to happen to me, okay? Because it can't. And people say, you know, how does it make you feel? It makes me feel absolutely wonderful, okay? Because it means I will never rip hole to hole. You probably know someone that has done that. And it's an actual thing. My friend Michael Ann, her mum came into our school when we were 14 to warn us of teenage pregnancy. It did not work in my school. And she'd given birth. She ripped hole to hole, because it's a fat little shit, right? She put a sanitary pad on, that's what you have to do. Gone to the toilet, ripped all over again because she'd stuck it sticky side up. Exactly. That will never happen to me. Guys, and it just means I can promise future lovers and comedy fans that tight opening 100% of the time. So that's amazing. Thanks, guys. So that's the end of the comedy stuff. So I'm going to quickly, how long do I have?
How long do you want?
Like, I'm just going to run through, I've just made some notes. So, because I know I've got to analyse the funny. Which is very difficult because it's just a natural gift that I have. So, okay, right. First of all, know why you're using comedy. I don't know anybody in this room. I use it because I want to put gynecological health on the map. I want to raise awareness. I want to squash the stigma that surrounds having a disease in between your legs and the embarrassment of smear tests and the embarrassment of cervical cancer. So know why you're using humour. It can be for a number of reasons. And if any of you are my competition in the cervical cancer comedy department, I will come and find you. So back off. It doesn't always have to be funny, but I like to default to the funny because it's my way of telling my story. And to be honest, when I was going through all of it, it's how I coped in the first place. So, I mean, it just comes naturally to me to be absolutely hilarious. People aren't comfortable sometimes with comedy. So some of you guys might not have felt that comfortable listening to that stuff because it's not billed as a comedy night. Like, some people will feel a bit awkward, and that's okay. You can't please everybody, okay? I'm sorry if I didn't please you, but I hope I did, sir. So I work for a charity called the Eve Appeal, a gynae cancer charity, and I went to do a talk. That's part of my job. I go and give the health and information talks, and I went to a church hall in Essex, and the average age was at least 68. And these ladies, bless them, they just weren't expecting me to say, okay, so hands up if you check your breasts. And people put their hands up, and then to come, you know, in with the underdog of, and hands up if you check your vagina. It made people feel uncomfortable, and that is totally fine. But do you know what? When people feel uncomfortable, a bit unsettled, that is when some magic can happen, okay? Because Margaret was sat where you are, in the back of the room, and after a couple of minutes of silence and awkwardness, and I thought, am I going to get sacked? She threw her hand up, she was the wrong side of 80, and she went, fuck it, I do, and I love it. And that was worth the couple of minutes of discomfort to get Margaret to talk to me about how she wanked, okay? So I'll take that. The beauty can happen. And why does it work? It's science that laughing relaxes us and makes us feel good. That's just a fact. And I think for me, and kind of the awareness and the difficult subjects that I talk about, and it's not to everybody's taste, if people are more relaxed, they are way more likely to feel comfortable talking about the information that I'm trying to give out, absorbing it, thinking about their own state with regards to the subject, e.g., God, do I need to book my smear test? Okay, so I think laughter is just the best way forward. And you can't always get it right. So I recently went to do a stand-up to cancer gig in Glasgow. I was like, this is my prime audience. I thought I'd nailed it. I wore a sparkly top. I wore heels I couldn't walk in. I went for it because I was like, who doesn't want me at a stand-up to cancer gig? I absolutely bombed because I followed a guy called Stuart who was telling everybody how he had 6 months left to live and was being brave for his baby daughter. I couldn't hear him. But then I went straight on stage and was going, apparently we're all brave, aren't we, if we've got cancer? It was horrible. It was an absolute fucking car crash. It was awful. He came up to me afterwards and went, you'll probably notice why the audience is a bit quiet. It's because I said this, this and this. And do you know what? Then we laughed about it, just the two of us. And it was funny, but you can't always get it right, guys. So if you expect laughter and don't, it's probably because someone's come and ruined it before you. Don't do the same as everybody else. Like, you don't copy somebody, that's a cop-out. People don't remember, mediocrity, they remember kind of originality and being authentic. And if it's not funny, if you're at least telling what's true for you, people will at least appreciate that, even if they're kind of not laughing. Although if they laugh, it makes everything so much easier. If you find a joke, a situation, a mishap, a misunderstanding funny, for whatever reason, the chances are somebody else in the room will do too, like the birthing laugh we just had together, that's great. But then if you play around with inflection, timing, wording, phrasing, to make the story appeal to more people, then you'll feel even better about yourself and make more than just one friend. Although we're friends now, aren't we? Yeah, she's like, yeah, we are. You're sassy, I like it. If you're having fun, most of the time the audience will too, and that's great. And honestly, apart from sex, food, and gin after you've got off stage, which is a hint, there is honestly no better feeling than making people laugh. Like, honestly, you can have all the money in the world. Well, I don't have all the money in the world, so I've never been able to compare it, but I'm sure that's nice. But laughter is absolutely, for me, especially talking about cancer, the best medicine. And always remember your tight opening. It's another vagina joke. Thanks very much for listening. You're going to hear from some more wonderful people, and I really hope they haven't got any competition with the cancer department, because that will piss me off. Okay, bye!